Hello, everyone. We are back with a super exciting live. I am going to be joined by our mentor, one of the Reconnected mentors, Cassandra. Hey, everyone. Sophie, Catherine, Justenia, back again. Amazing. And Miranda, Guy, Dana, Sam. I'm being joined by our mentor, one of our mentors from the team, Cassandra. You would have seen her in the threads supporting everyone this weekend. And she reached out with an epic win that she's willing to share with us that I found so inspiring. So I'm pumped to have this conversation. Good to see everyone. Oh yeah, we have our tech sorted. Don't worry about that. We're complete professionals. We've nailed it. Just wait for it.
All right. Can we hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
We were just building a little bit of anticipation.
Yeah, that's one way to help settle the nerves that I had. Is just like, all right, let's just throw a wrench in there for you a little bit to work through.
We're live to 100 people. Just dial up the sympathetic activation before you jump in. Yeah.
Yep. This is what a regulated nervous system looks like,
That's right. Here's a stressful situation I prepared earlier. This is how I deal with it.
Exactly. Deep breaths.
Nothing compared to parenting 4 children. Nothing compared to dealing with an explosive child's meltdown. So yeah. We're all over this.
I do this. I can figure this out pretty easy. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. So thanks for inviting me in.
Pleasure.
And thanks for patience while I figured out my tech stuff.
Yeah, I'm just so grateful that you're willing to come and share, because I can't wait to hear your recent wins. I got a little snippet and I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear the full story behind this. It just sounds crazy.
It is. It's been a work in progress. So I joined the Reconnected parenting back when I was on Kajabi. And
wow, so 2020.
Yeah. Yep. Wow. And I didn't get this win until 2023. So it took I really needed to create a lot of safety within myself and really land in what that felt like. And once I did, well, I guess I'll share. I have my second oldest was explosive, and that's what really pushed, I first started to do the work, and what really pushed me in to diving into the work fully and full head on was him. And he was pushing my limits and with his explosive behavior. And it wasn't just he'd get mad. He would get really mad and throw things and break things and just really full on explosive behavior. And
wrecking things. I saw so many people on the live this morning saying what about if they're breaking things, or what about when they hurt someone, or what about da da da. And we know it's fully crossing a boundary, and also we don't want for them to be feeling so dysregulated that that's where they're getting to, but it's sometimes impossible to know what to do to support them to regulate that, rather than coming in with discipline that can feel really harsh. It can be really confusing for parents.
It was so hard, and it was exactly that. It was so confusing because I stepped out of myself, and I was just why? I would react in these big ways, keeping us safe and shutting him out, literally outside of the door and shutting the door to keep me safe and keep my other kids safe. And that felt like the right thing to do at the time. And but then the guilt and the shame that would follow after, just being oh my gosh, I would just fuel his fire. Essentially, I was just fueling this fire, and it got so big and it's so explosive, like so out of control for sometimes hours. And I was just in pain enough. And I got to this point where I was like setting these intentions initially to have my husband home more, because it was just me and the two boys. And I was just struggling. I was basically just a single mom who worked all the time. And
Wow.
yeah, so I had set like my first big win in Reconnected Parenting was like, I set intentions for him to be home more and to get a job that required less hours but more pay. And that came to fruition. Like all of a sudden he got this really crazy job offer, and it was just like this, whoa. And I was like, wait. And then I got in touch with like what really can happen when you set intentions and what you can create for yourself. And it really, yeah, it got me in touch with like my inner knowing and my more spiritual side, which I think helped pave the way to finally get to this space with Cash. And I set these intentions. I remember I was setting all these intentions because we really wanted to do something really big as a family. This huge, massive shift. And I had some support from a coach. And I had set these intentions, or I was hesitant to set intentions around this because I didn't think it was going to change. And I thought that's just how he was. And I was just angry, like just really angry. And I felt so disconnected from him. And I was just like, I don't know, I'm at loss. And they were like, well, you're only as strong as your least common denominator. And so he was in this place where his behaviors like were things that were tipping toe around or that was fueling this huge fire. And I knew at that point, I was just like, yeah, like I have to stop kind of disassociating and being in a freeze about it. And these intentions. So I was like reading them, and I intended to like hold space and to feel safe and to see his spirit and his, I'm like reading it now. His
Yeah, I love hearing them. This is real.
His sense of expression, and to feel easeful in our relationship and just love and to feel expansive. And then I literally got into the breathe and nothing happened. And I was pissed. I was so annoyed and frustrated in the breathe because I was like in and out of consciousness, and like things would come up, but I was not connected to them at all. And they were just like kind of like just floating around like these feelings, but it never was felt in my body. And like nothing was landing at all in my session. And I was frustrated because I was like, there's stuff under here. Like I know there's stuff here that needs to like be released. Why isn't this happening? And I came out of the breathe a little activated, like, what? Like that was it? Like, And then the coach was just like, well, that feeling of nothing happening and the disconnection and feeling outside of yourself and feeling land, is that how you feel about Cash? And I was just like, yeah. Yep, that is. And that like kind of put me into this like, whoa, like in a sense of awe, but it also activated me in a way that I'm like, oh, there's something deeper here. And like now I know in my process when I touch on something, and I know in the coming days that something deeper is going to be kind of unwinding and unfolding.
Yeah,
that's how it felt. And so I remember the exact place, and we were just going for a family walk. The two boys were on their bike ahead of us, and I was pushing the stroller. And I was just like, I need to just like vocalize this activation. So I was just like talking to my partner and just kind of going off a little bit. And then I just like said it. And I was just like, it's like I'm responding to Cash like the way I wish I could have to my own dad. And then it was just like, I stopped, and like the whole world stopped, and everything kind of like froze for a second. And I was just like, whoa. And my whole body felt it. It was just like, I'm responding to my son in the way that I wish I could have as a little girl when I was in those situations, when I felt so unsafe and like everything was out of my control. And I was up in this really big anger, and I'm sitting here responding to him. like the ways I wish I could have, you know, screaming, no, stop it. You're not being safe. Like all these things. And then that feeling of just like, whoa, like, I can't even, it's just a whole body knowing. And we continued on this walk, and I swear how I saw him changed. It was just like, I looked at him and I saw him again, saw him. You know, I saw my little baby. I saw his face. I saw him cry. I saw his spirit, his essence, everything that I couldn't see because I was just so angry. And I finally saw him again. And then he has never, to this day, and it's been years now, has thrown anything, wrecked anything in anger. He still gets angry, but he can be with it in a way that's like feels safe for him and feels safe for us, because I see it differently and I see myself differently. You know, it's like this beautiful ripple of like seeing him in a different light, but then also having compassion for myself too, of being like, oh, like that was little you, and you can choose differently now. And it's been years, and he hasn't thrown, he hasn't screamed, he hasn't broken anything. He melts into his anger now. He literally just turns into a puddle of just like emotion. And it's so different. It is so different. And I just remember being in the exact spot when it hit me. It was just like, oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah. It was.
Except I cry because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you know, when you say that, where my mind goes is the amount of conversations that I've had with parents. Like I've lost count of how many times I've had conversations with parents whose kids are explosive, and the parent is so activated in, I can't let them abuse me. I can't let them do that to me. I can't let them do that to that child. I can't let them do that to da da da. And you just know that the parent is not fully in their adult self in that moment. Like, but isn't it phenomenal the way that our psyche like, I don't know, when it's happening, all we know is that we're struggling with our kid. It's all we know. We don't know, like, we might be open to the reality that there's something more driving it, but ultimately it's like, I just can't handle this situation.
Yeah, for sure. And it was like I was blame. I was just living in this blame, and I went into that breathe looking for a way to blame. Like I intellectualized it all in a way that's like, I know I'm angry because of my past and because my dad was an angry and explosive person and X, Y, and Z. Like I could rationalize all of it. But I was so angry. And it's like, I feel like it also doesn't get spoken about as much either. It was just like, I had to be angry though, in a way. Like I had to release this, like it was just this anger that I needed to let out. My inner self my inner child needed that space to be angry. And then when I hit that actualization, the realization of like, oh my gosh, I'm responding in the way I wish I could have. And then everything shifted. Then it was like reconnected parenting just like came in clutch again, where then I could go into connected play and I could help my son unwind everything, you know, like I healed it for myself and rewired it. But then I could create this space to like let him go and fix those situations and rewire those past situations and let all that out of how it felt for him when I was really angry back at him, and when I shut him out, and when I closed him off, and when he felt like I didn't like him. Like he would tell me, Mom, you don't like me. And like there was there, like I love him, like my whole being, but I didn't like the way he was being. And and that doesn't mean, you know, those are two totally separate things, because I would have done anything for him, and I still would. But it was just like, God, I don't like how you are right now, you know? And then it was like, so then, I got to do this. I got to do the Reconnected in a way deeper facet, because now I knew, like, in a deeper level of what he could be working through at those moments. So then we are further connected in his journey.
Wow, Cassandra. And the ripple. So he's never done it again.
No, like look, no, like he'll just like be mad. Like he came out of the womb angry. Like he was pissed. He cried nonstop. Like was birthed, screamed for hours. So he had a really bad tongue tie, so his body was just really tight and really uncomfortable. And he was just pissed. And so like his explosive response is literally since birth. And so when he's like under stress or something, he'll still be like mad, but throwing things, getting angry, hurting people, like he would have never. It feels like a whole other life. Like it never happened in a way. Like I can't even see him doing it right now. Just if he did it, it would be so out of character now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you probably would be really concerned about what was happening for him as opposed to being triggered.
Yeah. And like that's how I feel now. Like when he's angry, I can look at it and it's like now I see him and I step towards him. Whereas before I was like going internal and just being like, oh, that's not safe. Where now it's like I walk towards him and we walk towards each other in these moments. It's like, oh, we seek connection instead of like just putting up these huge barrier walls of like, no, you can't cross this path or this wall of like what I feel safe with. And then he in turn was just like, whoa, my mom can't handle me. That's extra unsafe. And then it was just like a spiral from there. But yeah.
What does it mean for you that you have rewired this epic pattern? Like most people take these patterns to their grave. I'm just going to say it. Most of this way of relating with our parents never clears. It's just our stuff to carry into adulthood. You know, that's the majority.
It's true. And it was like, it was pretty deeply wired for me. And I realized I never got to feel angry. I never got to feel anger, and it felt unsafe for me to feel it. And so I established a new relationship with my own anger. And now I can see it as more of a sacred anger. And it changed how I saw my father. It was like, as soon as I shifted that for me and my son, I also shifted how I saw my father. Whereas like in this place of blame and anger, it was just like, well, you know, when I intellectualized what was happening, it was, oh, because of my dad, this, because of that, because of this, he did this, the X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I just took my power back. No, like, I get to choose now.
Yeah.
How it, you know, and then to see him in a different light, like knowing that he was doing the best he could with what he had. And gave me way more compassion and grace. Definitely.
Phenomenal. I just think, I mean, I've got to be honest, I actually just feel a bit speechless. Like it's funny how stories like this and the magic. Okay, here's where my brain's going. My brain's going in a million miles. Like the first thing I thought was, imagine coming to cash with behavioral strategies. Imagine coming with like, okay, timeout, countdowns, tool, like this technique, that script, this parenting technique. It's got to be like this. It's got to be like that. Like imagine addressing his behavior as though it's an issue that is his and him. You know, like that's what most parenting advice really is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what I was doing. That was what's fueling this fire and made him think that something was wrong with him. Or he was like,
Yeah.
you know, what's wrong with me? Why do I act this way? Why do I do this? And it was just like, because you're just angry, you know, or X, Y, and Z. And it's like every other parenting thing was like, oh, you need to put firm boundaries up. You need to take something away. You need to give them consequences and all these things. And I'm like, yo, I've tried all of these things and it is making it worse. And yeah, it was just like, yeah. I can't even, it
Once
got
a
bad.
psychologist told me to, with, once a psychologist told me every time my strong-willed child hits someone, take something that he likes away from him. And then when when that doesn't work, it's because I'm not implementing the technique like properly or consistently or enough, or the punishment isn't like meaningful enough, it's got to get bigger, or it is crazy. And in reality, it's that we're not like, when we're about, like, do you know, today on the call, I'm not sure if you were there, Cassandra, it would have been in your morning, but like that we're aware of the verbal part of our communication, and we're not aware of this huge amount of else that's been communicated, nervous system to nervous system, where that way of relating, where you withdraw from him and he gets more explosive, on some level it makes sense given what everyone has been through up until this point. And that's the conversation that needs to be had to completion, in a way. Like, your body needed to resolve this charge of, like, I heard two pieces. I heard the anger that had to be had, and blame being really important. Like, blame was definitely true for your nervous system. Like, someone else needs to take responsibility. Anger. But then the safety piece of how the safety piece came in around the same time. And so all of that needed to happen, and for that awareness to shift. And as soon as we've got that resolve, the situation, isn't it incredible? It's like it magically transforms. The moment transforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
no required, no strategy required. A child who went from breaking things, angry to the point of breaking things, having to lock yourself away as the only way to hold a boundary, which happens, it absolutely happens,
Yeah.
to never having that same situation again, from resolving the charge from the family dynamic, at the level of the nervous system.
Yeah. And it also like sparked this idea when you were talking about how we come into this place of like blame, how the same cycle would then repeat, right? It would be like my dad being angry and blame and just frustrated, and then all of a sudden I'm angry and blaming my kid, and then I feel to blame because I've created a bigger fire, and then now my kid also feels he's to blame, and then that just like will keep going indefinitely.
Yep.
Yeah. And I totally forgot until right now. My father had his dad left when he was really young and it was like in and out of his life and not really fully engaged. And he would see him in the summers, and they've had some like rocky relationships. And just this past summer, and it was like after I've been doing all this work for me and my children, that my grandfather sat my dad down and apologized for not being there and getting so angry for him, and like just like took accountability and like basically what my dad's probably been searching for his whole life, but took accountability for his actions. And I was,
hectic goosebumps. Yeah.
yeah, it was like, and I in my body, it was just like, oh, I knew I created this ripple. Like I did something to this generational line that like opened up this communication. And like for my grandfather to sit down with my father and to just like,
and the masculine line, grandfather, father. Yeah. Kasha's whole line there. Wow.
Yeah, it's still like, even when I think about back to it when he was explosive, like I try to close my eyes and remember him being explosive, and I can't. Like I can see like these little tidbits, but like it just feels so like not like it never, like once it's integrated, it's almost like it never occurred, never happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it just doesn't. And then he's like, between connected play and like our relationship and how it shifted, he's never went back and been like, well, remember when you shut me out, or remember when you did this, remember when you did that. Like there's none of that, and he doesn't hold on to that.
Not there in his body anymore.
Yeah.
Because the impact isn't there in his body. That's the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that gives me goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. It was I like I tell you, like I remember the exact spot when the awareness hit me, and I felt it in my whole body. It's like, because I was responding, it felt so out of body, right? It was just those like verbiage, mental, just like this reaction. And then it was just like, I could feel myself just like enter myself in this way, this new way. And it was just like, I don't know, like, yeah, it was like a big connection in me. And then I could see him different. And it was just, yeah, amazing. Yeah, it was magical, really.
Blows my mind, and it doesn't matter how long I do this or how many stories I hear or what I experience in my own process. It's how phenomenal the impact of such simple practices are, but that the practices are so simple, but that it really can take a lot for people to get started.
Yeah.
That little combo where it's like, how is something so simple so transformative? Like how? That's beyond my comprehension. I know how, but the feeling, like you just said, like to step into a moment when everything changes at the level of your physical body and the impact that it has on the other people in that dynamic, that it could literally free them up to be more themselves than they have been able to up until now. Yeah. And then the way that it's so simple that in theory everyone should be able to do this. Everyone. Absolutely everyone. And I don't know, I guess I'm just thinking a lot about that at the moment, that there's like a if you've been around, you know that I don't like the word resistance at all, because I really do trust timing. I don't really believe in resistance, but it's like a lot can come up that gets in the way of us starting this. Yeah. What was it like for you before you had this way of understanding your family? You know, like it's a completely different way of viewing what's happening, right? And do you remember what it was like before you kind of understood these tools? Do you remember how you thought about your kids and life, and what it was that kind of made you feel open to stepping into actually implement, like doing the work? Do you remember?
Yeah. So prior to doing like my journey, I feel like when I look at it and how I've gotten here, it's like I understand it so much, but at the time it didn't make much sense quite as I was unfolding. But it was just a slow progression of stepping into myself and trusting myself
Mm.
and trusting my inner, like reconnecting with my inner knowing. And then also stepping into community and support, something that is very much like I still am working on. But prior to like this work, I had no internal space to be with any extra stimulation whatsoever. Like my mind was just always going a million miles a minute with all these thoughts of all these things I needed to remember. And then it was just like, if my kids were like talking or yelling in this, even playfully in these moments, when my mind is going like a million miles a minute, it's just like, it would trigger me. I'd snap. It was just like, I can't, like, I just needed space. And it just felt like I was just going through these motions, and we'd have good days, and I'd read all these like parenting things and the books, and I was just like, you know, I'm like trying to recite certain verbatim like what people say you should say, and I'm like, this is not working. Like I hear this, you know, I hear you that you're angry, and my kid's like, yeah, I am angry, what about it?
I hear you that you're angry is the emptiest statement you've ever heard in your life, and you compared saying that statement over the top. When you said that, I just had this visual of how like you say that statement over the top of the charge that was there and the conversation that's actually happening, and it's like, wow, that's an intense incongruence, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just like, I hear that you're angry, you know, like I hear that you're angry right now, but underneath was just like, please stop it. I don't want to hear it. It's too much. And you know, that's what my kids were feeling. They weren't hearing my words of like, I hear that you're angry. They're hearing like, whoa, my mom can't be with this right now. It's too much. She's getting triggered. She doesn't like it. You know, like she's gonna pull away. And all these things that are speaking way louder than what I'm trying to portray. So yeah, it was just very much, it felt very surface level. And choose to homeschool, and we're together all the time. And so I really get a lot of opportunities for self-reflection. And so I've always had a strong intuition, but it never felt safe to rely on it. And so I remember just getting these like, I think one time my kids were having these big behaviors, and I, instead of just being like, oh, I hear this, I was just like, you're really angry right now, and I'm really angry right now. And it's just like, and then I just saw something in them being like, whoa, like you said something you're actually feeling weird. And then I was like, oh, I think there's something here. And then I started seeing the Reconnected stuff online, and I was just like, oh, I just like felt this like pull. And whenever I feel it, I've always listened to that. And so yeah, that landed me into the Reconnected, but it took a long time for me to create this new baseline of feeling safe and feeling supported and then accepting support in order to go here.
Do you know what I want to say though? Like, yes, and usually there's those initial wins, but like honestly, between starting and having that level of profound shift that has permanently resolved a situation for you and for Cash permanently.
Yep.
3 years of, and you did it yourself personally. And I'm guessing, you know, like breathwork here and there and play therapy here and there, you know, scattered throughout. I'm sure there were ups and downs as you were going along those 3 years, but to create that change while your kids are still like children forming and developing, and then that being a part of their formative experience.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it really feels that way. I feel very grateful for my journey so far. And I think if I really look back at it and look at it in the whole picture, it was really creating the space within myself so that I can be with these bigger things. And it did take a while, and that's okay. and everyone's journey can be a little bit different. But, you know, at first I just got these like really epic, like kind of magical wins that like drew me in. Was just like, oh, my husband got that job and now it's your time in your space. So then it's just like, yeah, and it was just like these small little unfolding steps to get me to these way bigger things. Yeah, I was just like, I feel like I can tackle that now. Like, oh, yeah, like I got this. I'm building myself, like I can do it. But yeah.
We go step by step, don't we? We just really do go step by step. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have this gut feel. Cassandra, are you open to people in the chat asking you some questions? Like, Cassandra's a mentor in the community. You know, she's here to support everyone as well as, as well as has been here doing her own work. And I just I can see how inspired everyone is in the chat. And I know it can be hard to like track, but would anyone here like to ask Cassandra a question? Please jump in. And Cassandra, I'm interested in what you would want to say to someone who might be where you were, like when you first found the Reconnected, you know?
Lean into it and just take the leap. It took me a little bit to jump into community and to feel like I can ask for support and that it's safe to receive support and that I'm worthy enough to receive support and that I don't have to do it on my own. That I went through a lot of work to figure that part out, but that it is worth it. And the reflection piece of getting reflecting back, like just a simple question of like, well, is that how you feel about cash with my nothing session? And then it being like, oh my God, yeah, that was what my session was about. Like, whoa, even though at first I felt like that was the most nothing session, I felt so disconnected. But yeah, just having somebody just to reflect it back, a simple question, changed. And if I did it on my own, I might have took a little while to gotten there. Like at the beginning of my experience, I didn't reach out to any coach or anything. And I just did the breath work and I tried to piece it all together in my head and like do the work on my own. But it wasn't until I stepped into support and I put myself in a place of receiving support that I made bigger connections and things really started moving. Is that when I felt the community behind it?
Yes. Isn't it phenomenal that you can actually do quite a lot of breath work and you can still not see what's moving for you in your session? Like, you do really need that external mirroring back. We talked about now,
even now in my like, I'm going to the breathwork school to become a practitioner, and even now, like, I much prefer having breathe with somebody, supported breathes, than on my own, because I just like that, the feeling of having somebody there hearing your experience and reflecting it back and just sitting with it. There's something like there really isn't.
It's phenomenal. Robin's got a beautiful question here. How did Cash's behavior affect your other children? And can you talk about their healing or unwinding?
Yeah. So at the time when Cash was having these big behaviors, I only had one other child. It was my firstborn. And I would take him in the room and it would to keep him safe or whatever needed to happen. And his response has always been freeze. He's always just doesn't know what to do. And I saw him step into like the golden child more too during those times where he's just like, oh mom, like I would never do that, or I don't throw things, or like, you know, just really kind of talking through what was happening and like why it was happening and why everyone was having these big behaviors. And I could see him feel like he needed to be easy. He needed to be the easy one. Like Cash took up so much space and time and he needed to be. And then when I like stepped into this place of awareness about what was going on for me and Cash, and I permanently healed that, where he doesn't feel that way. Then I also created this space for my oldest son to really embody himself and to feel safe with his big feelings. And he's always been super sensitive, but he didn't have to hide it anymore. Like he's much more open, where he's just like, you know, this is making me really mad, or this is making me really sad. And so like the ripple effect, there was a ripple effect. It was like, it gave him permission that he needed to feel his feelings in a safe way as well. And that he could have his own. It like opened up this road for him to show his big behaviors and to feel big feelings. And so it was this invitation of being like, look, I got you. We got this. Like, we have the tools. And so, yeah, it invited him to just go through and be with what he needed to be with. But initially, I saw him stepping into that, like that golden child, where that would also make me feel so guilty. It was just like, oh, now he thinks he has to be easy, you know, or he has to.
Good, he has to, yeah. And it's always like you and the golden child versus the explosive child.
Yeah, that's
dynamic. I feel it's not right, but it's hard to find any way out of it. Yeah. Wow. Oh, well, I mean, I just have to say, I thank you. I think you knew everyone needed to hear this story, because it is just such a clear example of just what happens when a parent is willing to be fully engaged with the process and with their breath work and with connected play. And I mean, it's absolutely inspirational to hear what you have created for you and Cash, outside of what given to you and what would have been your default relationship. That you have completely changed that for the both of you is everything.
Yeah, and I feel like even for my other kids now too, like Robin had asked, like now I have more awareness when my kids are stepping into these spaces, and I know how to be with them, where I can, like I had this epic experience with Farrah where she was my youngest, or my second youngest, where she was rewiring something, and I knew it was different, and I could be with her in that, and I saw the epic change. So it's like it created way more space and way more connection to just be with them on these way deeper levels. Like it's not surface anymore. It's like this deep connection where it's like I really see them, and they really see me, and you can feel that family nervous system just so fully connected. And like even if it goes out of whack, like I know how to get it back. I know how to bring it back to us, and there doesn't feel like it. There's not anything that I feel like we can't go through. Like we just sold our house like a month and a half ago. We just sold our house, and we decided we're going to travel for a while as a family of 6. And it took a lot of work to be there, but it's because of this work, because I know I have the tools. I know I have the community. I know I have the support. I know what I can feel supported. I know what I can do and create for myself and my family to make the things that I've always wanted possible, and possible for them, so that they can step into life and feel like they can do whatever they dream. So it just really feels really profound. Like it feels so, like you said, so simple, like a little thing, but it creates these massive effects, like in the whole family dynamic, that just, it's beyond.
Yeah, because when our family is drained by issues and dysregulation, then we really can thrive way beyond what we think has ever been possible. You know, thriving as a family, like literally actualizing dreams like that, is just so phenomenal.
Yeah. The level of attunement you have, like that was the word I was missing. It was like connection, but attunement. Like you can see your kids and you see their behavior, but you see what's underneath it. You know, there's the depth of it, and it's like you don't wear it, you don't get lost in it, you just see it and you're with it, and it's a way different dynamic than just like wearing their emotions, taking on their anger, taking on this, holding all of it, sucking it all up, you know. And yeah, it feels so beautiful and expansive.
Thank you so much, Cassandra.
Let's
pause. Wow, it was so worth getting through our little tiny little tech hiccup, wasn't it? We have an emoji applause in gratitude for Cassandra, and truly thank you for sharing so much of your experience with me and with everyone here. I want everyone to hear this information and to know that it's possible, you know? Yeah. For being a reference for everyone about what we can all do for ourselves and our own family. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me and being patient through the tech things. Figured it out.
Of course, without saying. And Cassandra will be in the space over the week, so feel free to tag her or chat about it. If you resonated, I know that she'll be happy to connect over the share. Yeah.
Totally.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Love. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye, guys.